For most of human history, it has been difficult to pick the difference between genuine, unselfish love and the carefully calculated love of someone who does or says something nice in order to get something personally in return. But all of that is changing now, as we move towards the final few years before Jesus returns. Jesus taught about this counterfeit love when he said in the Sermon on the Mount about loving your friends, "If you love them, what reward should you have for that? Do not even the publicans do the same?" In Luke's version of the same sermon, he quotes Jesus as saying, "If you do good to them that do good to you, what reward should you get for that? Even sinners do that much." Sadly, this business of behaving in a civil manner towards all sorts of people, occasionally doing favors if they don't cost us too much, is about all the love that some people know, and so they learn to make do with it, and to actually defend such love whenever we say there is something inherently evil about the masses of the world. Now, to be fair, there really is not much difference between the love I experienced as a member of a social club and that which I experienced when attending church. Everyone was polite and helpful as long as you didn't make any demands on them, but it all fell apart when the heat was on. There are, of course, two ways to demonstrate that such love is not genuine love. One is to offer something better, which I will get to near the end of this video, but something else is happening which is making it much clearer to some people that the world we now live in is quite a dangerous one, ready to chew us up and spit us out if we get in their way. And that something is the World Wide Web, the Internet. In some poorer countries, people grow up knowing just how depraved the human race is. War and oppression are everywhere. But in many Western countries, those with a history of Christian teaching, there is a residue of decency that has hung around long after real love died. People just naturally are polite and friendly, even when they don't like you. They smile and bid you good day as they pass. We have not grown up in a country like China, where torture and death could be your fate if you dare to misbehave socially. Sometimes the only way that people in these Western countries get a real gutful of the bitter reality about human nature is if they go to war, killing and being killed at the whim of politicians and military leaders, and it has scarred millions of them for life. So how has the internet made people more aware of how counterfeit so much of what used to pass for love has been? Well, it starts with internet business. Big companies can now operate widely without ever seeing their customers face to face. Every question, every complaint, every interaction of any sort happens more or less electronically. If it's not a printout of frequently asked questions being served up to you by a computer, it's a faceless drone in a third world country who has been coached in all the best ways to either answer your questions, or more often than not, to sidestep them altogether by having your call transferred to another department where even the length of the wait has been calculated to make you give up and carry on without being heard. Even the contact numbers and email addresses themselves are hidden in the most obscure places, and the real questions that people have, in particular, how much is it going to cost, are made virtually inaccessible. You have to describe what you want, state the time and date you wish to travel, or in some other way commit yourself first, and then you will be given a price for that same transaction, a price that may not even be available if you call back in an hour's time, forcing you to start all over in ferreting out how much it is going to cost. Gone are the days when you could study the various options and pick the one that best suits your needs and your budget. Little by little, all of the common courtesies that customers used to take for granted have disappeared, as one form or another of artificial intelligence tells the executives that they can get away with not providing that service anymore, and still they'll be able to make a profit. So if it's cheaper not to provide a service, they simply will not provide it. Why replace a screw when you could sell the customer a whole new engine? Such simple things as instructions on how to locate a particular function on your computer or how to open an extremely strong package are all left to the consumer to work out for themselves now. Somewhere in the reasoning of all these impersonal corporations, a computer analyzed elderly people, the ones who find change the most painful. The computer discovered that the elderly no longer need to be taken into consideration. If they fall through the cracks because they cannot keep up with all the rapid rates of change, no one is going to make enough fuss to offset the money that can be saved by ignoring them, so let them do without. Did you get overcharged? Too bad. Money will be taken from your account regardless, and once again, it is because the computers have told them that 99 out of the 100 people will just accept the company's incompetence as their loss, rather than go through the trouble of suing for justice. There was once a time when shopkeepers would do any number of little favors for you. They would change dollar notes for coins to be used in the phone booth. They would tell you the time or give you instructions on how to get to the post office. They would give you free water for your meal, even pump gas into your car and wash your windscreen for no extra charge. But all of that is gone now. If there is nothing in it for them, they don't want to know you. And of course, nowhere is it easier to get away with this than on the internet, where the complaints of those who object can never be heard by anything more than the recorder on their voicemail account. All of this starts to put a different spin on what Jesus said about even sinners being decent people with their friends and neighbors. Those who have servants to take care of all this, of course, can still go through life largely untouched by the inhumanity of it all, and say that the rest of us are making a big deal out of nothing. But we are perilously close to it becoming quite a big deal for a lot more people. There will, of course, always be the haves and the have-nots, the tormented and the tormentors, and the tormentors will have little sympathy for the others. But what we are discovering through worldwide exponential growth in the world of internet business, and more importantly, through internet politics, is that people who don't fit in can be more and more cruelly disenfranchised, cut off from access to government services, cut off from certain forms of transport, cut off from approval as tenants, and ultimately even executed, as happens in China for thousands of people every year. Sadly, the trend is growing at an alarming rate. And in one very important way, this is actually good news. Yes, let the masks fall away. Let evil stop masquerading as good, and let the world see just how selfish and corrupt the heart of man really is. I hope that we will become sickened by it all, and especially about how easy it is for us to join in on the tormenting. If nothing else, we will be able to appreciate two very important lessons. One is that we will stop condemning God for having invented hell. We will see why He is 100% justified in punishing those who will behave as so many of us are capable of behaving when all the forces of evil come into play. And the other is that we will begin to realize just how totally useless it is to determine who are the good guys on the basis of soft words and angelic smiles. Jesus predicted all of this. He said, "Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." We will discover that all that had passed for love for centuries was little more than cheap counterfeits. Oh, true love is out there, but it's going to take a lot more than romantic music and a box of chocolates to find it. And this is what I said would be the other way for the world to understand just how counterfeit and shallow most love is. They will be given the chance to see real love. Jesus told His disciples that the world will know that we are His followers by our love for one another. He went further. He told us to love even our enemies, and we are fast approaching a time when this is going to be the only means available to preach the gospel in a godless and antichrist world. I'm not looking forward to torture and execution, but if it will cause the world to see the difference between genuine love, the love that only God can give, and all the counterfeits, then bring it on. Let's start a revolution, a real revolution, one of love, even for our enemies. The kind of love that says in the throes of a torturous death, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Oh man, I still fall so far short of that. But that's what I want. It's what I hunger and thirst for. And if you want to get past all the plastic imitations, then it's what you need as well. Please contact me at the address on the screen if you want to be part of this coming revolution. I may be able to put you in contact with others who are at least trying to emulate the love of God as revealed through His Son, Jesus. Let me know where you live and what it is that you want to do with your life. Please do consider coming to live and work with us in a labor of love. Love for God and love for others, in a world which badly needs a sample of real love in action. The world, brothers and sisters, let's change the world for God. Amen. God bless you.